It has been quite some time since the Blue Devils played a noon game at home, and it is a big occasion this weekend as they play at noon for the first time since the close of the 2023 season when they hosted Pittsburgh. And it's number 11 Illinois that comes to town. Time to party like it's 1958. That's the last time those two got together here in Durham. The last meeting ever was in 1965 up in Champaign. As we welcome you inside Blue Devil Tower, I'm David Shumate alongside Dave Harding. Great to have you guys with us as we take a look at this huge matchup this weekend, Dave. Certainly from the Blue Devils' perspective, but when you think about things nationally, this has huge implications.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Not only do you have the Big Ten and the ACC facing off an opportunity for one of the conferences, kind of plant the flag, if you will, but also when you look at what both of these programs are looking to do the rest of this season, this is a chance to pick up a big resume builder. Obviously, a little bit more probably for the Blue Devils to take away if they're able to get the win, with it being a top 15 program in Illinois. Two teams early in the season that you don't often see 9-win, 10-win teams facing off in a non-conference setting all that often. So an exciting opportunity, and I think you've got two very solid coaching staffs. For Illinois, a little bit more continuity from a personnel perspective over the years coming into the game, some more experience. But then for Duke, a lot of talent and a lot to be excited for. So plenty of talking points, plenty of narratives around this one. Most importantly, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's talk about this matchup because obviously the Blue Devils are very familiar with the Big Ten. A bunch of success against Northwestern of late. Got one up in Evanston a year ago. Illinois, though, we mentioned the uniqueness of the series, haven't gotten together in 60 years, but there is familiarity for the Blue Devils head coach, Manny Diaz. Obviously spent 2 years as the defensive coordinator at Penn State. Saw Illinois a couple years ago, so there's that kind of intriguing subplot that these are two coaching staffs in many respects that are familiar with each other.
Yeah, and Manny Diaz even mentioned he remembers, again, to the continuity of what Illinois has had from a roster perspective. Some of the guys that he coached against and prepared against are still playing and will be here in Durham on Saturday. I think when you look at how Duke has fared against the Big Ten over the past couple of years, the success is mainly because you've got a roster of very good athletes for Duke that can run. They're very fast, can fly around. I'm thinking, the secondary, some of the skill positions on offense. But there is also a willingness to be physical. There's a preparation in making sure that you're willing to go out there and play in the trenches, being able to push people around. And if there's a stereotype around Big Ten football, it's that these guys are a bunch of Midwest grass-fed dudes that are wanting to come in there and lean on you and push you around. And so if Duke, and I wouldn't say that Illinois fits into that stereotype perfectly. There's definitely some explosiveness. They've got some really good receivers. They've got some pass rushers that are very dynamic. But as a whole, if Duke can prove to be a team this year that's willing to, what do they used to call it, go into the sewer, right, and grind it out, be a tough physical team, but match that with some speed on the outside, could give Illinois some fit.
All right, as we said, we're going to talk about this game from every conceivable angle. We've got some new toys. Me and technology is normally not. What do you think the chances are it works?
It's going to work.
It's going to work?
Let's speaking it into existence. There we
go.
Let's
go. All right, obviously the sample size is small, but each week we're going to give you kind of the stat comparison of these two. Both teams had a dominant win in their opener. Illinois beat Western Illinois 52-3, kind of dominated things on the ground. The Blue Devils did it through the air. We already talked about Mensah, 27 of 34. By the way, he completed his final 14 passes, tied for the 6th longest streak in program history. Not bad in your opener. But Dave, as you peruse this, what jumps out off the sheet to you?
Well, I think we already kind of know what Duke's offense looked like, so I'm going to the Illinois side of things. The first thing, maybe it's my former offensive lineman self, I see this 5-sack number, and I see how stingy they were against the run, only allowing 58 rushing yards last week. Those things start to concern you when you factor in, again, the experience that Illinois brings back. That wasn't a fluke. It's not an accident. This is a defense that's predicated on stopping the run, but they've got some really good pass rushers. And then the way that they line up, and you'll see on Saturday, puts a big-time challenge on the offensive front because they'll put 5 players across the line of scrimmage, taking away an ability to double team, hard to diagnose sometimes where they're coming from because there's so many players up along the box. So that's one thing that sticks out to me statistically speaking, because this is a very good defense.
Keeping with that theme, the guy over Dave's shoulder is the guy listed as a linebacker, but he can get after the quarterback. Gabe Akis last year led them in sacks with 8, 13 TFLs in the opener. He delivered 2.5 TFLs and 2 sacks. We've been talking with the head coach all week. I've used the phrase, but coach has agreed with it, Dave. He's a game wrecker.
He is. He's got twitch to him that is different than you typically see on tape. When you're watching, you don't, like, you could watch a half of Illinois, not tell you who number 17 is, and you would quickly pick out that he is their best player. Just a dynamic player, physical, able to run around as well in the pass game. He can pretty much do it all, and the stats show it.
When you look at this guy over my shoulder, Cooper Barkate, in his debut in a Blue Devil uniform, just doing what he does, over 100 yards receiving on 5 catches. And Dave, what impressed me most, I think will be important on Saturday afternoon, the versatility. We saw the over-the-top ball, the speed to get behind the defense, but also the contested catch, what I imagine is going to be very important this week as you take a step up in competition, not just into the Power 4, but to a team that we said is ranked in the top 15 in the country. There's not going to be a lot of space out there. Can you make a catch in a tight window? I think he's going to be really important.
He is, and I thought Darian Mensah did a good job of spreading the ball around against Elon. 9 different receivers having receptions. Obviously, Cooper did a great job of setting the tone, and I mean the first reception to him for a significant gain. Not only are you going to need to make contested catches against this group, I think finding a way to maybe break off a route as Mensah gets out of the pocket. Perhaps he's trying to get away from a defensive lineman or a linebacker that's breathing down his neck. The improvisation that we see, that we saw bits of it last week, but we know this team is capable of, I think that's where things can really get special. Taking a quick slant and turning it into an explosive play. Cooper Barkate able to do that, and we're going to see the chemistry, in my opinion, keep developing. That does take a little bit of telepathy, right? You have to understand as Mensah's breaking out of the pocket, maybe avoiding pressure, or maybe it's a designed rollout. As he's doing that, looking down the field, receivers have to adjust to what he's doing. And as Duke continues to do that more and more, I think you'll see the big-time impact of that versatility come through.
One other number that pops to me, this right here, 55% conversion on third downs in the opener against Elon. Third down at times was a struggle a year ago. Not just the conversion rate, but the fact that Duke was only in third down 9 different times in the opener. To me, that's going to be very important because this is an Illinois team. We mentioned these are kind of the recent stats, but last year they gave up third down conversions at a 45% clip. So that is something to keep an eye on. All right, let's flip it around and talk about the other side of the ball. And when you think about the Illini, I know Luke Altmaier gets a bunch of attention, and he is a really talented quarterback, maybe the best in the Big Ten. We'll see how it shorts out, one of the best in the country. We'll talk about him here in a second, but Dave, what really jumped out to me in the opener against Western Illinois was that 3-headed monster at running back. And you look at these guys, Aiden Lawfrey, he's an experienced guy. 9 carries for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. Khalil Valentine will get involved, 9 carries for 51 yards. But then there's Caden Fagan, 13 carries, 74 yards and a score. He's 6'3", 255 in the backfield.
I know, that is crazy to think about. And when you mix that with some of what we talked about at the top of the podcast, Duke's defense wasn't all that consistent in the first game of the season. They didn't fit the run as well as they would like. We saw Elon's quarterback able to run on some of those up the gut or some delayed handoffs to the running back. You'll see some of that this week. I mean, this is an Illinois offense that likes to line up 2 tight ends. They're going to come at you. They'll run counter. They'll run power. And it's going to be important for the Duke defense as a whole. I'm talking linebackers, safeties. We saw Chandler Rivers getting involved in some of the run stopping in the first game. They all have to tackle really well and be consistent to take away that 3-headed monster because you've got the quickness, you've got speed. I mean, Illinois beating defenses to the edge, not just this year, but looking back at their tape playing South Carolina in the bowl game, the Cheez-It Bowl. South Carolina's defense can fly. And you've got players that are back this year that can win a one-on-one foot race to a pylon. That scares you. And then you blend in 250. I mean, that's a defensive lineman playing running back. hard to bring down.
And the other thing I'd point out, if you look here, 209 yards on the ground, 231 through the air, very consistent with what Illinois did a year ago. The quarterback gets a lot of attention, but they're a very balanced offense, which is why. And let's talk about Luke Altmaier, very similar to Darian Mensah. Last year, 22 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions, takes very good care of the football and is kind of stepping into his own for a leader on this team. And Dave, he is not afraid to extend the play to let guys get open downfield.
Yeah, I don't think he really gets as much respect in his athletic ability that he should. And he's a field general. I think first and foremost, you mentioned the only 6 interceptions a season ago. He takes care of the football. I don't think he overextends all that often. Very smart, places the ball where his receivers have a go at it, less of an opportunity for interception. But I was surprised in turning on the tape, like you said about Mensah, there's an ability to scramble around in the pocket when things start to go wrong. And he's not afraid to tuck and run, call his own number as well. So you're going to make sure you got to stay in proper pass lane. I think this Duke defense will be more prepared for Altmaier this game than what we saw last week because there's tape on him. I mean, that is one downside to having some of this continuity and some of the same faces that we've talked about over and over again. It's that you kind of know who they are in many ways, and you have a little bit of a jump on being able to prepare and look at their trends and watch on tape so that a player on defense is ready for it. But Altmaier, another thing, they're never counted out, right? They're one of the best teams last year in college football in finding a way in the fourth quarter to come back into games and to win it.
Hank Beatty led them in receiving a week ago, 5 catches for 108 yards, also took a punt back, 69 yards. He's very skilled. They've got some transfers in there, not dissimilar to what the Blue Devils are looking at in the receiving room, so that'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. All right, let's go to our players to watch when we get to the game. I told you the technology. Are we going to be able to get to the next slide?
I just need to get this guy from breathing down my neck. It's been a little bit uncomfortable, the graphic placement.
There it is. I'll get it eventually. It's the first one we're going through. But players to watch, and yes, I cheated a little bit this week. We'll talk defense here in a second. Why you got your eye on Jacquez?
Well, we've talked a lot about the Illinois defense and what they do from a 5-down front perspective, kind of a bare front where it takes away an opportunity for an offensive line to get multiple double teams at the point of attack. It's hard to run against a group that stacks the box this way. You're going to need to lean on a guy like Jacquez more. A senior, he's seen a lot. He's incredibly explosive, but also a powerful back. Averaged just over 6 yards a carry in the week 1 performance against Elon. I think in order for Duke to have consistency on offense, and I'm talking about staying on schedule, picking up needed first down and second down yardage to keep yourself out of third down and long territory where it's hard to convert and to stay on the field. Jacquez Moore and the rest of the running back room. And you talk about Illinois having a 3-headed monster.
4-headed monster.
They're 4 deep with a wide range of different skills, but it does start with Jacquez. And he and the rest of his running back teammates have to have a big game on Saturday if Duke's going to win this one.
I'm going to go with the edge rushers, talking about VJ Anthony and Wesley Williams. These two guys are loads off the edge. They can get after the quarterback. We know what they did last year, just piling up sacks. Wesley Williams led the team. But when you have a guy like Luke Altmaier that can get out of the pocket, extend the play, I think containing him, but yes, sacking him is a big piece of this. If you look at Illinois a year ago, sometimes when you have experienced quarterbacks, they will hold on to the football. They gave up 32 sacks and they gave up 3 sacks in their opener. So to me, these guys getting off the edge, creating some negative plays, and just making Altmaier a little bit uncomfortable back there is going to be a huge key come this weekend. But it's going to be one of those fourth quarter games. And let's talk about one of the things that's going to impact this game a little bit, really here in Durham, which is crazy to think about. The last month has felt more like fall than summer, but Dave, Mother Nature is back. Temperatures are supposed to be in the 90s. The humidity is supposed to be back. You've lived it. I've seen it from upstairs with the air conditioning on, but what sort of impact can that have on the game, the heat and the humidity, particularly when you get deep into the ball game into the fourth quarter?
I think you hit the nail on the head. This is likely to be a 4-quarter ball game in terms of being a competitive matchup all the way through, and the conditioning aspect of both of these teams is going to play a factor. Who's prepared late in the game to go blow for blow? We referenced already, Illinois not afraid of putting together last-minute drives to get back into a game and to win it. Altmaier at the helm of that, behind the defense, getting some stops. So there's a belief there. It's going to come down to choking out somebody's will to go win the game. And the way you do that is by being more physically prepared, being ready to go out there and be violent in the fourth quarter. Big hits, being able to finish runs, bringing your body through on a tackle. And when it's 90 degrees, that's a challenge. The one thing, I would have given Duke an obvious advantage in this setup if the past month had been more about what we expect August to be, or if it had been brutal heat. But frankly, I mean, these guys for the Blue Devils have had a pretty easy go at it weather-wise. I mean, It has been cool and crisp in the morning. It's not like they've been training in 90-degree temperatures. They got their fair share, trust me, in August. But that's something you have to continually do. It could be a shock to everybody, and we'll have to see which team is able to react best to it.
All right, each week on the podcast, we're going to give you a little something different to talk about. Last week on the audio version, we talked about tailgating and the proper way to prepare for a night game. This week, I want to impose on you a little bit because I know you've lived it as a player. Sometimes noon starts can be a little bit sleepy. So let's coach up the fans a little bit about the noise and how you can impact the game when you're in the stands. It's going to be a lively atmosphere here on Saturday afternoon, but with that noon start, you need the energy early, right?
You absolutely do. And a lot of it's about being a self-starter as a player, making sure that you can get yourself up a little bit earlier than normal and be prepared mentally to come play the game. But there's nothing that helps you with that more than when you're on the Devil Walk, walking through and seeing all the fans that are lining the sides, encouraging you, and then when you run out of the tunnel before the game, having a good group of people there that are cheering you on. It's important. If you haven't made plans to be inside Wallace Wade Stadium on Saturday, go ahead and change those plans and be there. This is an Illinois team. I mean, they've got, I think, over 40,000 season ticket holders. So regionally, a power. And I don't think Duke fans are all that familiar just with the fact that we haven't seen them since the 50s. And there's a geographical distances to where the fan bases don't cross over, but this is a group that's going to travel well, so Duke needs good representation. I know it's going to be hot. It's hot for the fans, but there are plenty of beverages that you can. There's
plenty of ways to stay hydrated on game day.
There's no time constraint either. Like 5 o'clock is happy hour typically. On a game day, you could do whatever you want. But yeah, be there, be loud. It's a great opportunity for Duke to come out. I wouldn't say shock the world, but come out and really put a circle around the Blue Devils' name as they go on the road next week in another difficult game. But they got to start stacking wins, and the Blue Devils certainly have all the pieces and the recipe necessary to have success.
And these are the types of wins that the committee likes to look at. If they're looking back, selection time, you beat a Big Ten team that was number 11 in the country, that could be a huge deal. We're looking forward to it. Duke and Illinois coming up this weekend at noon from Wallace Wade Stadium. If you can't get here in person, we will have you covered on the radio beginning at 10:30. You can also catch the game on ESPN, but we're looking forward to it on Saturday afternoon. We'll see you guys at Wallace Wade Stadium.